welcome to the Fireside Magic podcast. Things are a little different this week. I am not Anthony. Anthony could not make it here today. So my name is Darren. I am the typical pinch hitter, as he likes to call me. I am joined today by our friends up north, the Canadians. Guys, introduce yourselves.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy, Tyler here, coming at you again for another time from up north in Canada land. What's up? Nice to be here.
All right, I won't match that energy, but it's Jesse, Carnage, also here from up in Canada. And yeah, we've got a sweet episode, preview season. So we're going to talk about what it looks like an insanely overpowered set.
Yeah, it looks nice.
As usual, we are in preview season because 2 weeks have elapsed since the last one. So we have some Magic cards to talk about. We don't have a specific format that we're going to be thinking about today. We're just going to list off some cards, say what we think about them, where they might see some application, and talk about our favorites from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Ooh, all right. So first up, one of the most exciting cards that was first previewed, I would like to talk about Fibblethip Lost on the Range. I believe this was one of the actual first cards revealed from this set. Fibblethip, very beloved character in Magic. This time coming at us for 3 mana on a legendary creature, 1 blue. Legendary creature Homunculus with Ward 2. He is a 1/1. Look at the top card of your library at any time. The top card of your library has plot. Its plot cost is equal to its mana cost. And you can plot non-land cards from the top of your library. So this card introduces the plot mechanic to us, and that is essentially a way to prepay for your cards. Boys, what do we think about this mechanic specifically, just before we get into the card itself?
Yeah, so to me, it's very akin. It's like Foretell, but better. It's really awesome to be able to tuck away a card that you can then keep for later, set up combos, protect your combos, and keep those pieces safe, outside of your hand from things like Thoughtseize effects or discard. It's really unique. I had to reread the rulings on it a few times because I did feel like it was very strong, especially cards that allow you to plot other cards for free. It's pretty sweet. That's my opinion. That's my take.
Yeah, I think plot is okay. I think it is going to be akin to Foretell in that sense that Foretell was never broken, but it was good. What makes plot very good is, like you said, the cards that plot other cards, which allow you to do things that you shouldn't be able to do with some cards. And I mean, the first one that comes to mind always is Valky. Can you cast the other side of Valky faster than you're supposed to be able to? And while plot does allow you to do that, and so that's kind of an issue. Outside of that, it is a bit more of a mana sink than Foretell was. Foretell was generally low costing to put it on Foretell, and then it costed less than the actual card to then play it. This is generally the full cost of the card to plot it, and then you just on a next turn get to play it, or it costs even more. We have some instances, we'll probably go over them, where it actually costs more to plot the card, and then you can cast it for free the next turn. So it's kind of like a weird mana investment. There are things that might make this powerful, but I don't think it's broken. I don't know if that's the word I'd use.
For those who have not seen it yet, plot is a new mechanic from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. It says plot, pay a cost. And you may pay this cost and exile this card from your hand, cast it as a sorcery on a later turn without paying its mana cost. And you can only do this as a sorcery. So it is essentially a way to not cheat so much as skirt around costs for the cards that we're playing. Whether or not it ends up being a broken thing is more or less yet to be decided, and I think is going to be influenced more by the other cards than the plot cards themselves. Going back to Fibblethip, I don't think that this is going to be anything more than a commander card that shows off the mechanic. Most cards are costed appropriately for the effects that they give, so just paying that, you have to pay that cost anyway. So I don't think that this is going to be anything more than you can play cards off the top of your library.
Yeah, he gives you some card advantage in that way. Like if you can somehow like make a run of a bunch of cards off the top that, you know, otherwise wouldn't be in your hand. So like you said, in a format like Commander where you can cheat on mana, you know, really go heavy, or possibly even cheat on costs of cards, maybe that's where you'd see it most. But I agree, probably not too constructed playable, in my opinion. The fact that he does create that little bit of card advantage or potential card advantage could make him a little bit more valuable in a limited format as well.
Yeah, I think this card's going to be a house in limited. Just being able to draw technically an unlimited number of cards every turn.
Also, Ward is like much
quite
better
strong.
in limited than it is in like most other things, just because like generally in limited, removal is a little bit more on a premium, and then having to pay more for it makes it like a little bit more difficult to work around. It's definitely a good limited card. That's absolutely for sure.
I mean, plus boys, we can't deny this art.
Oh, this is a fantastic art.
It really is. So, yeah, I would get a print of this art.
It's very good. Harkens back to the original. We got like a dragon battling like a swan thing in the background. Very, very, very cute. Very fit both out.
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to go next?
I actually want to talk about the other mechanic that's being added. And we can do so by talking about Fortune Loyal Steed. So Fortune Loyal Steed is a legendary beast mount creature that costs 3, 2, and a white for a 2/4. And when Fortune Loyal Steed enters the battlefield, you scry 2. But it introduces also the new mechanic of Saddle 1, which essentially mount creatures have, which is a new creature type in this set. Essentially, it's like crew. They're like vehicles. They work like that, where you can tap a creature with power equal to its saddle cost to saddle the creature. And then in doing so, that will give that creature an additional effect or ability. In this case, when Fortune Loyal Steed attacks while saddled, at the end of combat, exile it and up to one other creature that it saddled this turn. Then return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control. So it blinks itself and the creature. What I really like about this whole mechanic, unlike like crewing and vehicles, is that the creature totally works by itself independently of other creatures, but it gets buffed if you do saddle it. So in its case, you know, the fact that it scries 2 and it's a 2/4 for 3 is already pretty good. And the fact that you can blink it potentially every turn and something else for additional value is pretty chef's kiss for me.
Yeah, saddle's interesting. Like you said, it's kind of, I guess, like a better crew, just because it's not necessary to crew. You don't have to crew the creature for it to still exist, still block, still attack, still do its things. And then you get some sort of bonus for deciding to crew the creature generally on most of these creatures that saddle. I don't have an issue with it. I think it's good. I don't think it's anything crazy. It's just a decent ability. I like, you know, it takes away all the downside of crew, which was always, I guess, a problem with some of the cards. Man, honestly, most of the mounts are honestly pretty cool looking cards.
They are actually. They're pretty sweet.
So like, I don't really have an issue. Generally, I'm a pretty big hater of new and different things, but mounts is all right. I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, I think that these are a pretty elegant solution to the problem of copying a tool that you are using. So what happens sometimes before these saddle creatures is that we'll have like a vehicle or a creature land, and we will want to copy it for whatever reason with like the backside of Fable of the Mirror Breaker or a clone, and then not realize that doesn't actually work. So this kind of helps alleviate some of that new player issue in a way that's extremely straightforward. As far as how these cards might like see play in practicality, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of them. I think that they complicate board states a little more than they have to, especially if there isn't like a big source of evasion going around. Fortune is a good design. It effectively is a 2/4 vigilance that scries 2 every turn, while also blinking something else in your white deck that's probably going to be
relevant.
Yeah, probably going to be relevant. It doesn't work super great with tokens, which is probably going to be one of the major ways that you want to saddle this. But
well, what's interesting about that is, yeah, you could still saddle it and then not blink the token, because it's, you know, your choice. It's a you may, you don't have to, so you still get the scry off of it. But yes, you're right, it's not as effective as potentially another 1/1 creature, or
it's good. Card I kind of want to move on to, which I'm gonna probably always be the person who's bringing up cards that aren't fun, is High Noon. That's just a great card. There's not like really much to say about it. It's a 1 mana less rule of law with upside. I don't really understand the printing of it. I get it in like a sense. I think it's kind of necessary, especially when looking at a format like Pioneer, for example. So it's just 2 mana. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. But then for 4 and a red, you can sacrifice it and deal 5 damage to any target. So kind of just like goes face once you get it like low enough to be able to kill like your opponent. This card's just really good. It's like an auto lock to see some sort of play in at least Pioneer. It's possible even Standard.
Maybe Modern.
I don't know about Modern. I don't know if it's that good, but it could be. It could even be 2 mana for that ability is pretty strong, and the reach on it is pretty good. Generally, the decks that are trying to use these types of effects are decks that are trying to kill quickly and are more aggressive. So it fits kind of well into those shells. Card's just very strong, you know, from a lens of strictly Pioneer. This is a card that's been pretty necessary to kind of hurt Phoenix, hurt Lotus Field. So those are decks that are still very good and very powerful. And like I said, it fits really well into the aggressive decks of those formats, like Convoke. So I don't know if there's much to say about this card besides the fact that it's just good. Yeah, this is not a card you're happy to open up in Limited, or even possibly in your box, dependent on like the type of player you are. This card does not serve much more of a purpose than a sideboard slot in some sort of deck, but it is just a very, very powerful spell that I think was honestly a necessary evil for us to have, just because some of these spells and a lot of spells in a turn deck are kind of the most powerful things going on right now.
Is this a card you play in Commander?
Yes, I believe so. There are a good number of red-white like stacks decks, group slug decks that are very interested in limiting the number of spells that people cast. It might be more of a competitive EDH thing than like casual Commander, just because there are a lot of like feel bads with like locking people out of doing the thing that their decks wants to do in regular Commander. But this definitely has a lot of potential in CEDH.
Yep.
Moving on to let's go with Gissa the Hellraiser. So this is a 5 mana human warlock legendary Gissa for 3 black. She has ward, 2 mana, and pay 2 life, which I don't think we've seen mixing of the mediums to pay for a ward cost yet, so that's cool. She's a 4/4 with skeletons and zombies you control get +1/+1 and have menace. Then whenever you commit a crime, create 2 tapped 2/2 blue and black zombie rogue creature tokens, and you can only do that once each turn,
which are really 3/3s.
Yeah, so first, just the card Gissa, 5 mana, can't kill it, make 2 3/3s and a 4/4 basically every turn. That's insane, because you can do it on both your turn and your opponent's turn. Committing a crime, super easy. But also, let's talk about that for a moment. Committing a crime is a new mechanic in this set as well. Targeting opponents, anything they control, and or cards in their graveyards is a crime. So anytime you like look at or think about your opponent, you've committed a crime. And therefore you
just
get
like in real life.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, this card is extremely powerful, putting at minimum 6 power into play basically every turn. You don't even need to build around it, build around committing crimes, because they just happen naturally all the time, especially in a black deck.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that this card is the new Shieldred, but it is definitely ringing the same bells that Shieldred rings for me.
Wow, that's a big statement.
That is a big statement. I hear you. She does come down a turn later. is harder to remove. That's for sure. The fact that she can trigger on both your turn and your opponent's turn is very relevant, very important as well. I'm sure there's ways you can manipulate your decks to be able to do that quite easily, because just like you said, in black, you're going to do that naturally, but there's probably even ways to take more advantage of that. But I would say in a top deck scenario, you slam Gissa, I slam Sholdred, and we're going, off the top. Gissa can't win you the game by herself. I still think Sholdred takes the cake here, but very interesting card. I love black cards. Everyone knows it. I'm the mono black guy. I will play this 100%. Looking forward to it. A very interesting card to me.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk twofold about this card. One, I don't like commit a crime. I think it's a terrible mechanic to bring into competitive play. Everything is committing a crime, and you and your opponent need to be very consciously aware of committing crimes all the time. And that's just very annoying. It reminds me kind of like day and night, having to be able to constantly remember that I did that or that I didn't do that. It's just really, really annoying to me. I don't like those types of things where it's not like blatantly obvious that I'm doing something.
Yeah, like a global check, right?
I just like things that are very obvious for me to do, like committing a crime can be anything, and it can be like subtle that like I miss it. And like that kind of bothers me. I think that it's going to like present problems where you like miss triggers and have to like kind of rework all of that. And I don't know. It's not something that I love, but this card is very good. This card is like extremely, extremely powerful. It is 5 mana, which does make it like a tad bit slower than Sholdred. But I agree with Darren. Like I think we're on the same level. This card ends the game extremely fast. If you play this card and you untap with it, like you can really start to make things like roll with this. Like, it takes a fatal push, or it takes a go for the throat, and all of a sudden now you've got 10 power on the battlefield. Removing it's not easy. It's very, very powerful.
So that's the thing, right? Like there's a very realistic world where you do not need, like you don't need a fatal push. You don't need something like that. Like you can, in a real board state, you can play this on turn 5, have a Graveyard Trespasser, attack with Graveyard Trespasser, exile a card, trigger, commit a crime, get your 2 tokens, and that's the basics, I think in decks you'll very naturally have that. No skeletons or zombies really come to mind, like in terms of the top tier creatures that are just staples and everything, but I guarantee you there are skeletons and zombies in the even standard, definitely in Pioneer, obviously, that have just always existed and probably do have some target based effects and are also good on value that make this like very worth playing.
Yeah, this card has extremely high potential, which I think is the biggest part. Like I think it has more potential than Shieldred has.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Shoulder's really good, and what makes Shoulder great is that it's kind of just like got like a great floor, it just always is going to be good and whatever, but this thing's ceiling is so much higher. Like it is just capable of taking over a game so quickly. Like this thing kills in like 2 turns.
Yeah, it does.
And
yeah, for sure.
This thing kills in 2 turns. Like this thing is very, very quick, very, very fast at being able to end games. And again, leave something left over. Where Sholdred, once you've dealt with the problem, like you can start to rebuild. Like this thing just also then just kills you. Like there are going to be many board states where you can finally remove it, but then you just die to the attack by like 4 zombies, which is like extremely powerful. This card's very, very good. There's not really too much to say about it. But like I said, kind of like, I guess I can make like a tad bit of like a foray through this. Like what really bothers me, again, is the commit the crime ability in general. And like cards that I want to talk about, I want to group them all together, are the new deserts that commit crimes.
Okay, so do they though? That was my question, because so I thought they did. I thought dealing damage commits a crime.
Yeah, of course.
It says target opponent.
Yeah,
but targeting is the crime.
Is the crime.
Oh, absolutely. So yes,
Yeah,
so
they target the opponent. So like this is frustrating. I like them. I actually love these. The fact like these for limited are fantastic. We've got 10 dual lands at common. That always makes a limited format very, very interesting.
They are deserts, so they kind of have extra value. Like
they have extra value
just for fun.
For some cards. They deal 1 damage, which we've already seen before. That deserts that deal 1 damage can see constructed play. I know that at that time it was mono red and they were untapped and whatever, but they saw play. But this is annoying. This is something for me, like this card, these, cards totally embody the annoyance of committing a crime. I play a land for my turn, I pass the turn. That's just a natural thing people do. But I've committed a crime now. Was it relevant to the board state or was it not? I don't know. And I just feel like it's something that can so easily be missed. I played it, you take 1 damage, I pass the turn. And whatever. Now, all of a sudden, someone's judge hand is going up and they're going, oh, well, I have this card on the battlefield that says if somebody commits a crime against me, and he didn't say anything. It's annoying. I hate these types of things where...
That was a really good Anthony impression, by the way.
I just don't like it. I like the cards. I think the cards are awesome. I think they're very, very good. But I hate that something so subtle, so easy, like a land can commit a crime. And that's something that like everyone is responsible for. Having to be able to track and like it's just very, very difficult. Like, there are so many cards in this set. Like again, I'm looking at another card right beside it. It's a common, a 1 for a 2 for it's 1 and a black for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, target player mills 2 cards. I've committed a crime. Like so many things commit crimes that I think it's just going to be very, very messy to keep track of, especially in like a limited type format where like I'm not even really sure that I care about committing crimes. If you're playing cards that care about committing crimes, you probably know, and you're probably going to be pretty vigilant about it in a competitive format. But like limited is a place where you miss those types of things even more. And I mean, we've all played with day and night before. And like, how often has that been missed?
Do you think they're constructed playable because of commit a crime?
It's possible. Like I said, we've seen in the past, they were untapped lands, and I know that is a massive part of why they were good. It was a mono red deck that was just looking for a little bit extra reach, but dealing 1 damage is not nothing. Having somewhere between 4 to 8 damage in your deck that is uncounterable and unstoppable is not nothing. It is something that can exist, and it is something that you can kind of build around. And the added bonus that they commit a crime. If there are a lot of great cards that commit crimes and that matter for committing crimes, there's nothing easier than me playing a land and committing a crime. Like you think of Gissa, for example. If you just played on turn 6 and you play one of these lands tapped, you've committed a crime, and now you have 2 zombies and you're good to roll. So there is a world where these things could see more than just limited play, but they are absolutely bangers in limited. Like these are like top tier common lands like we've never seen before. The gain life lands are something that you think about often. They changed limited in a sense. They messed up math everywhere just because they were helping you fix your mana and they were, giving you a few extra life that down the line could be important. This is the opposite effect. This is taking away a little bit of life from your opponent that could be vital at the end of the game. So these are absolutely like just straight home runs for limited.
For Pioneer, they also trigger Spectacle.
Sure. For all those
for light up the stage.
For certainly do that.
Yeah, for all those Spectacle cards people are playing.
So if you're playing mono red and you feel like you can slow down your deck just a tad,
that's it.
These are the lands for you.
You found it. Might as well put like 12 of them in, right?
I mean, if you want a real you go play big red with a couple red.
Let me introduce you to my legacy friend, World Gorger Dragon. This is a dual land that wins the game when you have your Gorger Dragon combo in play.
There you go. But moving on, we do have some fancy new Planeswalker cards. First of them being
also, so they released 2, right?
It's 2 so far, yeah, which is now supposedly the new cap. Wasn't
it 1, like literally last set?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was 2, but
no, it was 1. Like literally, they told us 1 per set now, like never more, and they instantly like next set were like, here's 2.
Yeah, here's two. And so the two we got are Oko the Ringleader. So Oko Broko is back at 4 mana, 2 and a green and a blue. He has a static ability that says he comes out with 3 loyalty, and he has a static ability. At the beginning of combat on your turn, Oko the Ringleader becomes a copy of up to 1 target creature you control until end of turn, except it also has hexproof. He gets a +1 to draw 2 cards, and it also triggers commit a crime. And then you also discard a card. He gets a -1 where you get to make a 3/3 elk, and a -5 for each other non-land permanent you control. Create a token that's a copy of that permanent.
They are so afraid of breaking Oko again.
I think this is
fear.
I think this card's pretty good. The static ability, like making him a creature, giving him hexproof, with like all of his upsides as a planeswalker for 4 is going to be standard playable.
I think he's better than he looks, but I don't think he's. I think that's the problem. I think we can't compare him to other Oko.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm not comparing him to the 3-drop Oko that was banned and hated by the entire Magic community. I'm looking at this card as its own.
Whoa. Oko's one of my favorite cards ever printed.
Okay, yeah,
not
you
hated
like
by
him,
the whole Magic.
but a lot of people didn't enjoy him. But yeah, obviously I'm not comparing him to the 3-drop banned version of himself. But looking at this card as its own planeswalker, I think this is pretty good. That said, as I reread him, I don't think he can become a legendary creature. Otherwise, you'd have the legend effect, and you'd have to sack one. Because it reads, Oko the Ringleader becomes a copy of up to 1 target creature you control until end of turn, except it has hexproof.
I mean, you definitely can copy a legendary creature.
Okay, you can, but if you were to copy for, say, Sholdred, you'd have the legend rule, you'd have to sack one of them, correct?
I think so, yeah.
Right,
That's
yeah.
right.
Which is a little bit weaker, I will say.
Yeah, the fact that it can't copy Atraxa is a problem. Like, that's something in Standard that would have been real good, being able to copy Atraxa. Yeah, I think this Planeswalker is fine. I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's good. Like, I don't know how good this is.
The +1 to double loot in the worst case is pretty reasonable filtering. And then it also has the commit a crime. If you've committed a crime, discard 1 card instead of 2. So that is card advantage on the plus, which is something you would expect out of a 4-mana planeswalker. This card doesn't really protect itself, though, which is the biggest like upset, right? Like, you can take it down to make a 3/3, but a 3/3 is not as good at protecting a planeswalker as it used to be. And this Oko stands a huge chance of just dying immediately and being a waste of 4 mana, regardless of if you downtick or uptick on the first turn. So I think that you really need to put this into a deck where you want to be taking advantage of that static and having it become a copy of something, because that is his best way of protecting himself. What that deck is, I have no idea. But this card's a lot more limited in its scope of use than previous iterations of this specific character.
Yeah, but he's still sexy as hell, right?
Oh yeah,
Honestly,
he's shredded. Like,
yeah, he might be more sexy than ever.
No.
Especially if you're
No. The original Oko is literally like the epitome of Magic card sexy.
Okay.
That was unnecessary for him to be posted up that way and shirtless and like ripped to shreds. Like, that pose was pure sexuality. Like,
okay,
absolutely.
So then there's also Jace Reawakened, which is, the first 2-mana planeswalker since Tibalt. Very interesting. He costs 2 blue. He comes out with 3 loyalty, but you cannot play him on the first, second, or third turns of the game. He has that static ability. But for +1, you loot, you draw a card, discard. For another +1, you exile a non-land card with mana value 3 or less from your hand. And if you do, it becomes plotted, which is so good. And -6, until end of turn, whenever you cast a spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. So how do we feel about Jace?
Yeah, Jace is really good. I don't really give a shit that I can't cast them on turn 1, 2, or 3. Those cards have never always been that bad anyway. This card just matters strictly on its second +1. It's essentially cast a card for free next turn.
On every turn, really.
Well, I mean, he might die, but that's just his plus. Like his first plus, whether he comes down and he dies instantly, is he pluses, and one card in your hand is now free to cast next turn. That alone is very powerful. Like looting is fine. Looting is a fine ability, but 2 mana, it just essentially means that any card in your hand has 2 mana plot, which can be extremely powerful. And it leaves around the ability of doing that again the next turn and the next turn and the next turn. This is the type of planeswalker that plays very well in like a Phoenix style deck, right? Something that has like a bunch of spells and it wants to be casting a plethora of spells, right? Even its ultimate is essentially doubling every spell you can cast in one singular turn, which is, something Phoenix loves to do. You think about being able to do this, being able to plot your Pinlock Trickster, or whatever the heck that card is actually called. I just know it as Pinlock. I don't know what the rest of its actual name is. But being able to plot one of that and then being able to start your chain of getting a Phoenix back for free and only needing to cast, say, 2 spells the next turn, with mana, is very, very powerful. And then we alluded to the Valky-esque ability of it. You can plot Valky from your hand. The next turn, you can cast Tybalt. And that's just insane from a 2 mana investment. Yes, that can only start on turn 4, but that just makes Jace better. It's just more protectable. You can kind of look at it as a 4 mana planeswalker that only costs 2. So then you can hold up a counter spell to protect it from being killed, or you can play a creature or a removal spell or something like that. The planeswalker's good. I don't really think that there's much more. I just don't know how good. And I think that we'll see as time moves forward, but I think it's very powerful.
So I only have 3 fun facts about this card because I'm just reading it for the first time right now. The first of which is this art. The left half is Ashiok. That is not Jace. It's some weird mishmash. Don't know what's going on in the story, but that's cool. The second is the static ability says during your first, second, or third turn. So if you can give this card flash, you can cast it during your opponent's first, second, or third turns. And then the third is that about 4 years ago, people were asking for Jace in a cowboy hat. And I find it very funny that Jace is not wearing a cowboy hat in the set where everyone is wearing cowboy hats.
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity for sure. My understanding of the lore is Ashiok essentially is bringing him back from the dead, because when he was completed, he was murdered. And somehow, some way, Ashiok is returning him to the land of the living, similar to how she did it with Elspeth. But it does seem like there's a little bit of body possession type deal going on here based on the artwork.
I don't know if I'm right, but I think she's giving herself away for him. She's dying for him to come back, is what I think I heard. But I think that's what I heard. I heard a lot of people were upset. So that's why I think it's true. But
we'll have to ask Dreams of Ashiok, because I think they know best.
They were one of the people that was upset, by the way. And that's why enough. I think that the lore of Ashiok killing herself for him to come back makes sense, because yes, Dreams of Ashiok was very upset.
There you go.
And just because I'm filling the role of Anthony tonight, I got to be upset about it. Ashiok is not a gendered character, and they take a lot of offense to you calling them a she.
Is Ashiok not a gendered character? I'm sorry.
I don't believe they are.
I didn't know that. That's my bad. I'm sorry.
You will never be forgiven. Man, check out the lands in this set, eh? These are. I'm looking at the full art basics right now. They look sick. I'm going to be getting a ton of these. They have the mana symbol floating in the middle of them, like the Theros full art lands did, except it's hidden in the art.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't see that.
Yeah, the forest has a bunch of cactuses, and you can faintly make out the tree green mana symbol in the middle of it. I'm going to be getting a bunch of those. The lands that we should actually be talking about are a reprint of the fast lands. The enemy colored fast lands are coming back in this set. Mm-hmm. So that is Spire Bluff Canal. Let's see if I can do this just off the cuff. Concealed Courtyard, Inspiring Vantage, Blooming Marsh, And
it's actually the one
Botanical
of the
Sanctum.
one. There you go. I was gonna say it's one of the most played ones. Actually, you got them. Those are them. They were necessary. Their price was actually kind of moving a little bit in the wrong direction for us people who want to buy them. Wizards has kind of made it their mission to make lands worthless. They've absolutely killed the check lands in price by printing them in every single commander deck possible that they release. And hopefully they do that with the fast lands. It would be nice. They're lands that see quite a bit of play, especially generally in standard formats. And so, yeah, I'm super happy to have them back. There really isn't much to say besides, yeah, I'm happy to have them back. I think Standard needs them. Standard is not all that great on mana, and it's only going to get worse as we roll around to rotation, which is closer than it seems. And so it's nice to have playable dual lands.
Yeah. Can't disagree with that.
What are the other untapped sources of mana in Standard right now? Is it like Pain Lands?
They have the Pain Lands, and they have I always forget what those lands are actually called. They're the ones that allow you to have them untapped with two other lands on the battlefield. I always forget what they actually are.
Shipwreck Marsh?
Yeah, I always forget what their nickname of type of land is, but those are the other ones that exist in Standard.
Okay. We do also have the allied fast lines.
Yeah, and we have the some of the triomes, not all of them, but a lot of them are leaving, and so that's kind of the important part of the rotation. Is we're going to lose a large portion of lands in the rotation. So I think this was just necessary.
So the last time that these were legal in Standard, 2-color decks absolutely thrived. There were a lot of very good aggressive decks, specifically fueled by Inspiring Vantage and Concealed Courtyard. It could be a good sign for aggro decks moving forward in Standard, that these decks will be able to fuel out some quicker decks that can combat the Triome Menace and all the control piles that we've been seeing lately.
Yeah, absolutely. Fast lands equal aggressive decks. That's just kind of like a natural thing that happens with them. Most of the ones that play the other fast lands currently are generally the aggressive decks. Decks like Toxic use them pretty heavily to an advantage, and I think we'll see the similar thing. I think Vantage is massive for the Standard Convoke deck. Getting Inspiring Vantage is huge for that deck, because that deck does occasionally run into a little bit of mana problems and absolutely needs untapped mana, cannot afford not to have untapped mana. So Inspiring Vantage is going to be very much so a chef's kiss for the Standard Convoke deck. That's an absolute fact. A card I want to talk about that is not actually, I guess, a new spoil is Terror of the Peaks is back.
Yeah, the reprint.
It's a reprint. That card is good. We know that just in general. I think it might be a lot better now than it was before. The place that kind of comes to mind is the Domain deck. That deck just likes to put things on the creatures on the battlefield that aren't necessarily all that great at times, but it can also put Herd Migration on the battlefield. And when Herd Migration triggers with this, it just deals you 15 damage to the face, which is very, very, very powerful. So I could see this card seeing a little bit of play in that deck. It has the ability easily to cast this card. It just kind of fits. It's just kind of like a one-of card that you'd want to have. The Domain deck has kind of resorted to playing Recruiter. I forget what its actual first part is. The card that essentially Convoke is playing that allows everything to get haste and +1/+0, just because sometimes Herd Migration doesn't help you end the game because it can just be sweepered away. This kind of does a similar thing where you can play Terror of the Peak and then you can play Herd Migration, deal 15. I think this card's actually good. I think this card might be better than it was before. Not that it wasn't good, but I think that this card can really push some things pretty far.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. It's just always one of those cards, if there's a way to cheat it in or put it in with a bunch of other things. There are other copy effects in the Standard. There's Covert Operative and things like it that, can just enter all the creatures at the same time. Potentially there's a combo there that'll just outright kill your opponent. It's very interesting. Well, time will tell, but I I think you're right. The cards I want to talk about are, I guess it's a new mechanic / new type of card. They're very interesting. I really like them. They're all the spree cards. I believe it's a cycle of 5 that I've seen, or at least up until now.
I think there's a lot more than 5, man.
There might be. Yeah, sorry.
Several.
But I guess what I want to talk about in particular is the rare cycle. And we can kick that off with the Trojan horse itself, Smuggler's Surprise. The way spree works is essentially you can, like, the card will have a cost, and then it'll have several different spree costs, and you can choose to pay as many of those costs as you'd like when casting the spell. And in the case of Smuggler's Surprise, it is a green instant for 1 mana, but it has spree 2 colorless. Mill 4 cards. You may put up to 2 target creature and or land cards from among them into your hand. Or you can pay an additional 5 to put 2 creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Or you can pay an additional 1 to give creatures you control a power 4 or greater, hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So any combination of those effects you can spend, so up to a maximum of 8 mana to use all of its effects at instant speed, is incredibly strong.
I saw this one referred to as a tooth and nail, like TWOFF. This is, I think, the best way to just put creatures into play in formats like Standard and Pioneer. Like huge creatures that don't have a realistic mana cost. Think like Atraxa and anything bigger than Atraxa.
Well, yeah, if you're talking Pioneer, you have all the Eldrazi, right?
Yeah, you've got the Eldrazi, you've got World Spine Worm.
Yeah.
It doesn't really find cards super well. You only get to look at 4 additional cards to find like the big thing that you want to put in your hand. But I think even outside of its middle ability, if you're just casting this as like a heroic intervention,
that's true too.
Just for 2 mana, you can protect all of your dudes, give them hexproof and indestructible, which even on its own is super strong.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. That just exactly as like a utility card. Very sweet.
Again, if you want to put it in the confines of Standard, and this is just a card that fits in Domain. It's just it's maybe not 4. Depends really how powerful this card like really becomes. But the ability to go turn 6 on your opponent's turn, try and put Atraxa and maybe another creature onto the battlefield. They say no, they counter that, and then you just naturally are now at 7 mana, and you could just cast set Atraxa out of your hand. Makes gameplay pretty annoying. Being able to mill and find 2 lands is just really good in Domain. You're essentially trying to play as many lands as possible to get to the point you want to get to. The creatures in the deck are not a plenty, but they are powerful. They are all important. There's a reason they're in the deck. And then, as weird as it sounds, the heroic intervention is also good. The deck loves to just play a bunch of herd migration and being able to protect those creatures for whatever reason. If you can get their power high enough, protecting just an Atraxa in general is good enough. So I think the card's very, very powerful. We haven't really seen an effect like that in, as Darren said, like Pioneer and Standard before. Tooth and Nail is like the first thing that comes to mind when you think of that. And that card, it's been centuries since it was in Standard. Pioneer didn't exist back then, but putting 2 creatures onto the battlefield from your hand is inherently powerful. And so doing that for 6 mana, which is less than what Tooth and Nail cost at the time, is also kind of crazy. And at instant speed is even more insane. You can do so many crazy things at instant speed with it. You can try to block. You can do it end of turn. There's just so many situations. I don't know. It's one of those cards that I think is just powerful. I just don't know how powerful it is yet until I really kind of get my hands on it and kind of try and play with it.
Call me crazy. Does this go into Abzan Greasefang? Like, just ignore the middle ability. You have 3 mana, mill 4 cards, get a Greasefang in your hand, and also a land if you want it. And then you also have 2 mana protect both your Greasefang and your Parhelion.
I mean, yeah, actually, that makes tons of sense. Again, the instant speed is always what's really important, right? There's a reason Grizzly Salvage is so much better than its other options, just because you get to do that at instant speed. So you can kind of set that up where they can't really interact as easily or as well with it. You can kind of get it all in one situation. This kind of does the same thing, right? You mill 4 cards, you can take Greasefang and a Parhelion could hit the graveyard, and now you just have it all. So I actually don't see why not.
It also offers you a sideboard plan that doesn't use the graveyard. Like, you can switch to using the middle ability and just put like a 7/7 in your sideboard to cheat in for free. That might be worth exploring. I'm going to try it.
Yeah, you could just put a Traxa in, for example.
That's interesting.
Just put a Traxa in your deck, and now you're good.
Now you just have a different deck. So what's so good about the card is the fact that it's instant. Like, geez, is that strong?
What about the other cards from this cycle? They're not cycle, but like, what are some of the other good spree cards? So we have Final Showdown, which a lot of people were talking about.
Oh yeah, Final Showdown's pretty good.
So this this is an instant for just white as the base cost. And then with Spree, you can add 1 to make it so all creatures lose all abilities until end of turn. You can add 1 to choose a creature you control and give it indestructible until end of turn. Or you can add 3 white to destroy all creatures. This was mostly being seen for its ability to be a dress down, a very powerful card in Modern. Just make it so that none of your opponent's creatures matter anymore. It doesn't kill as much immediately. Dress down's very good at killing things like Urza Saga tokens and Death Shadows, and I don't think that we have a ton of stuff that this just like immediately trades with in other formats like Pioneer or Standard.
Yeah, it also doesn't draw a card.
Yeah, that's
really
definitely huge.
Really,
but just 7 mana, destroy everything except the creature of your choice seems all right, especially stapled to a dress down effect.
So I see it as being more powerful as just 6 mana destroy all creatures at instant speed. That's amazing for control decks. It's a little more costly, from definitely a standard lens. That comes at Sunfall, which is 5 mana. For 1 more mana, being able to do that on my opponent's turn and then untap and have free reign, that's kind of always the problem that control has, is that they do that on their own turn, and then your opponent untaps and kind of creates another board, and they're capable of playing like around your like Supreme Verdict type effects. This kind of allows you to be that person. You can kind of just do that at end of turn, untap, and start doing your own thing without much worry. I love that. We haven't had too many of those effects in general, and they are always very costly. 6 mana is not that bad. And like Darren said, the ability to then give something you have indestructible is also really good. Control does, and will from time to time play creatures. Being able to kind of also do it at instant speed, keep your creature untap with it, and kind of protect it even more is also powerful. I really like the card. I don't see, very similar to what we were talking about before. At its minimum, it's 2 mana, gain indestructible on a creature, which we've seen that be playable countless times before. I just think these cards just at their base are so powerful.
Then I was looking through the rest of the spree cards. I only found 1 more that was like remotely interesting. There's like a counter spell that can draw a card. We've seen that sort of thing before. But I think the black uncommon Lively Dirge is relatively interesting. It is at its base 1 black for a sorcery, and then you can add 1 mana to search your library for a card, put it into your graveyard, then shuffle, or add 2 mana, return up to 2 creatures with a total mana value of 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Do we have like a real Entomb in Pioneer or even Modern?
No.
Because this is a 3 mana Entomb.
Modern, I don't know. But Pioneer, absolutely not, because I've wanted it for my entire life.
Suppose we have unmarked grave in Modern. But this is no stipulations on the card that you're putting in, which seems pretty good.
I mean, again, right? Like, this is something as a Greasefang player I've been dying for. Being able to put the Parhelion exactly in my graveyard at instant speed is really, really nice to me.
Yeah, that lets you maybe even play less than 4 Parhelions, which maybe not the Abzan version, but definitely other versions are interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've wanted that so badly, and I mean I've generally asked for it at less of a. I wanted it to be a stipulation. Say artifact is fine for me because that's what I wanted to do. But being able to put anything into the graveyard, I mean, 3 mana is not that high of a cost. Obviously, Entomb is broken for a reason. It's a great card for a reason. 3 mana is not that bad of a downgrade, in my opinion.
And then for 5 mana, you just get the whole combo, right? You put the Parhelion in your graveyard, and then you get your Greasefang out of your graveyard.
Just to clarify, though, this isn't an instant, so it is.
No, this one's a sorcery. Yeah.
Oh, this one's a sorcery. Okay, sorry. I mean, it's still good. Instant would have been better. I am a little bit disappointed now. I thought I heard it.
The other spree card that interests me is Insatiable Avarice, which is the other black one. It's the rare one.
You're getting caught. You're getting caught again.
Am I?
Yeah, you're getting caught by.
It's just so like tutor effects. Are they just unplayable these days?
They're not unplayable. They're not unplayable, but like again, Grim Tutor existed and no one played it.
True.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
This card
so what I will say as a mono black player that plays a lot of mono black in every format all the time, as much as I can, I do like it's one black mana. And one of its spree choices are 2 black mana. So for 3 black mana, target players draws 3 cards and loses 3 life. I still think that is a pretty good card in standard.
It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
In standard, I think it's definitely good. Yeah.
What I will say with all of the spree cards, and like obviously, I mean, like this isn't anything groundbreaking, but it is worthy of note. The versatility that the cards give will make all of them good cards.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you want to talk, in my opinion, the best one that we know is great is Requisition Raid. It's a sorcery, so this is where its downgrade is, but it's 1 white, pay 1 colorless, destroy target artifact, pay 1 more colorless, destroy target enchantment, pay 1 more colorless, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature target player controls. Now, we've seen Disenchant be great everywhere. Yes, Disenchant is instant. This, for 3 mana, lets you get both. You get to hit in Artifact and Enchantment. And it's also good because most of those decks play creatures, and this can give a +1/+1 counter to each one of your creatures. So it has this like nice utility in these aggressive decks that generally put these Disenchant effects in their graveyard, in their deck. And then that Disenchant is terrible because it turns out they don't have the enchantment or the artifact you're trying to destroy. This one allows you for 2 mana to just pump your entire team for +1/+1, which is fantastic. And then let's remember the best card against these decks is Temporary Lockdown. This blows up Temporary Lockdown. That's massive, huge for some of these decks. Again, Convoke is a deck that I've talked about a few times tonight. This is a great card for Convoke. This solves a lot of problems for Convoke. It's a pseudo venerated Loxodon, right?
Yep.
It's missing that in standard, for example. And this is a pseudo Loxodon that also lets you destroy an enchantment or an artifact or both. This card is just really good. I think the versatility on it is like lights out, right? You're just talking about why these cards are good is the versatility of them. This card is like everything, right? Being able to, like, for 4 mana to do all 3 of those things is game breaking, right? If that is what your opponent has, it's an artifact and enchantment, and you pump your entire team. Like, how do you come back from that type of situation? This card is very good, like very, very good at uncommon. Does anybody want to talk about Kellen the Kid?
I would like to never speak about Kellen the character ever again.
I know a lot of people are excited about Kellen the Kid. I don't know. If Plotted's good, Kellen's really good.
What does Kellen do, Jesse?
So Kellen is Bant. So green, white, blue for a 3/3. So 3 mana, 3/3. It has flying and lifelink, which is already good. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, so Plotted is the thing that comes to mind, but it isn't necessarily Plotted. It could be a card on Adventure or something like that. Foretell, but Plotted is what you think of when you think of this card. You may cast a permanent spell with equal to or lesser mana from your hand without paying its mana cost. If you don't, put a land from your hand onto the battlefield.
Dang, that's quite good.
Right? You play a 3 mana Plotted card, you get to cast a 3 mana or less card from your hand for free too. I don't know. I don't know if Kellen's good. Kellen's a build around card. That's a card that you absolutely put in your deck and you build very specifically around it. But the fact that it doesn't say plotted is also really, really interesting. It easily could have just said whenever you cast a card that was plotted, cast something for free. It didn't say that. It said from anywhere other than your hand, which means there are lots of things that trigger this that are not just plotted. So if plotted isn't good, but this card is good, you can use other things to do so. This card could be really good. I think the Bant restriction is the problem. I think having to pay Bant colors to play this card is not that great. But this card could be really, really good.
It's also got the classic issue of it doesn't do anything the turn that it's played, so you can't really play it until turn 5. But
no. So this is important.
Oh, you can plot something on turn 2.
You can plot something on turn 2, and next turn play Kellen, and you instantly get to trigger Kellen. That's what makes Kellen really, really interesting, right? Is that if plotted is really good, and the plotted cards are very, very good, this is perfect. You don't need a more amount of investment in this, right? You've done that. You've set that up for Kellen to be positive. You can even play Kellen on a turn later in the game with a few plotted cards. Plotted does not force you to cast them the next turn, right? You can put 2 or 3 things on a plot, draw your Kellen and go fantastic, and play your Kellen and then trigger Kellen a bunch of times. This isn't like a lot of cards that we see printed now where it says only trigger this once per turn or once, this triggers a bunch of times. So I think it has the potential to be powerful. I think plotted needs to be really good for this card to be good in standard. But this card could be good other places. I don't think it's a modern playable card, but a thing like Suspend comes to mind too, right? Once it comes off Suspend, you're casting it from outside of your hand. This works. It could be a powerful card. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair to say.
I know we don't like Kellen, and he's generally not been that playable before. This could be good, and I really, really, really like the art, and I like that he's Kellen the Kid. I think that's just a great, very Western nickname for Kellen to have. It's just pretty nice, and I like the whole wanted poster of it. I just think obviously it's Billy the Kid, right, is where we're getting that play, and I think it's a pretty interesting, cool little thing.
Up next we have one that I know that Anthony was excited about, so I figure that we may as well talk about it a bit. It's Aven Interrupter. This is
very good
3-mana bird rogue for 1 white. It's a 2/2 flash and flying. When it enters the battlefield, exile target spell, and that spell becomes plotted. Spells your opponents cast from graveyards or from exile cost 2 more to cast.
Yeah, this card's very good. Very good.
Yeah.
It definitely has all the right words on it, right? This is along the same lines of Elite Spellbinder and Anointed Peacekeeper, as just the 3-mana hate bear that makes it harder for your opponent to play the game the moment that it hits the field. I just don't know where it'll thrive. What are you casting this against? What sort of deck are you putting this in, and where are you playing it so that it is a very good card?
Probably a Coco deck.
Oh, just a Selesnya company Voice Resurgence mid-range deck.
Exactly. That's where I would play it off the top.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think it's an interesting card and a good card, but yeah, I think it's a similar problem. It's I don't know where this is that good. I guess if plotted is really good, I guess this card is better, but that again is what I've said about a few cards tonight. Yeah, I don't know. I like that it is flash. It makes it a bit better than you were naming Peacekeeper and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's good. I don't think that's a problem. I think it's more how good is it?
It kind of feels like a spell queller almost. Ignoring the last line of text, and it's just get rid of a spell for a temporary amount of time, and then also have a flying beater. I know there were some blue-white based control decks in that standard that were taking advantage of spell queller. So I'm wondering if Aven Interrupter has a place in standard in a control style deck.
Could, yeah.
I mean, again, like I said, the card is good. That's not the argument. And I think we could say that about a lot of cards that are spoiled so far, is that they are good cards. It's just how good are they actually? Where do they see play? And what is powerful at that time for these things to be powerful? I think that's more of the question for a lot of these cards. And I think that card is like very much so like in that spot of like, how powerful is it?
Its typing is also a little weird. It's a bird rogue, and that makes it an outlaw, which is yet another new mechanic in this set. That's not really a mechanic, but
it's like
it's a qualification, I suppose. A new sort of way to group cards together. So let's look at Shoot the Sheriff. This is our new Doomblade variant. Just continuing with our Anthony cards. So this is a 1 black instant, destroy target non-outlaw creature. And the actual reminder text for this is assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks are outlaws. Everyone else is fair game.
Yeah, dude, I love that.
I hate that.
Like, I hate it, but like I love it because it's also how I would write it. So, you know,
I wanted to talk about this card next too, so I'm happy you brought it up. Is this better than Go for the Throat?
I think so.
Right? Like this is just the replacement in Pioneer, for example, right? Like
rogues and pirates are the only things that are ever going to catch you up, like accidentally. Warlocks on occasion.
What's the pirate? So I was thinking rogues. Rogues was the only creature type that I thought, hey, that's going to feel bad. I can't think what's a pirate that sees play. Pioneer.
Yeah. In Pioneer is the qualification because like Ragavan's a pirate.
Yeah. I'm talking like right now. Pioneer has always had this problem, right? Is what is the best 2 mana one? You know, is it Power Word Kill? Is it Go for the Throat? And like that has somewhat changed sometimes dependent on like the creatures that are flowing around. Right now, like as I see this, like Go for the Throat's biggest problem is that it doesn't hit Parhelion, it doesn't hit Chariot, it doesn't hit Bankbuster, you know, so like that's problematic. Like Shoot the Sheriff, like outside of rogues, and honestly, like I love rogues more than the next person, but it's not a top tier deck.
This does not hit Vein Ripper.
Oh man.
Which is incredibly unfortunate. Vein Ripper is a vampire assassin.
Oh, well, that's just bull. That's just honestly bull. That just feels like it was made that way. What the hell is that? Why is it a vampire assassin?
Yeah, I'm just looking through some of like the top.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, that's problematic. Extremely problematic.
Hits everything in Amalia, hits everything in Phoenix, hits all the spirits, I think. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like there wasn't, like in my mind, there wasn't really anything. Brazen Borrower's the one card that like wasn't just specifically in rogues that like saw play and other things that you would say, can't get hit. But like, I mean, Mercenary is just ridiculous. I can't even think of a Mercenary card.
Illuminator, Virtuoso, and Fugitive Codebreaker are rogues. That kind of sucks. So you can't use this to defend yourself from Heroic.
Jesus.
Maybe this card is actually worse.
Yeah, this card's not good at all. Why are these things rogues? And why is Vein Ripper an assassin? I'm upset about that. Should just be a vampire.
I don't know. Did Vein Ripper do the murder at Karlov Manor?
I don't know.
I didn't read the story.
Yeah. I don't know lore, but I do not like... Vampire is vampire. They're just naturally assassins. They don't need assassin typed onto it. Like, ridiculous. That's what a vampire is. Like, I actually just went up to look because there's another vampire in this set that I think might like actually be like Dees. But then I read that it was a legendary creature and went, not that good. But then I went and looked and it's a vampire rogue. And I was like, that is also unnecessary. Vampires are just these things. They are things that creep around in the shadows and kill things. That is just a rogue. That is just an assassin. Like, unnecessary for them to have that typing on them. And yes, that card is not good. We can skip it. Forget it. It's not good. Move on. It should see no play. Go for the Throat is exponentially better. And in standard, obviously, playing something that doesn't hit an outlaw obviously does not sound like that's a good idea, seeing as how most of these things happen to have an outlaw typing on them now. So forget it. Forget it. It's over. Just move on.
I do want to talk about a card we talked off air for, which is Colossal Rattleworm. So it's a 4 mana 6/5 worm, green, that has flash as long as you control a desert. So it's a 4 mana 6/5 flash. It innately has trample, and it has tap 2, exile it from your graveyard, search your library for a desert card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. I think this card is unplayable and constructed. That said, it is so strong on value. And something Jesse was saying off air was like 4 years ago, this card would have been like a house.
Yeah, this is the mythic that you remember, like
yeah. This
6 years ago.
Like I sent it. I sent it to Tyler right when it got spoiled, and I love finding that card. It seems to happen every set now. That is just a card that old me would have fell out of his seat. Like, this is the card that I would have went, this can't be real. It just cannot be a real card that exists in Magic the Gathering. Just because it didn't scale up once. It wasn't 4 mana 5/5. It's 4 mana 6/5 with absolutely nothing but positive written on that card. There is not a downside in existence on this card. This card gets better if you can enable its texts on there. But at its baseline is just a 4 mana 6/5 trampler. There are,
with upside after it dies.
There are limited formats where Colossal Dreadmaw was fantastic. Like, fantastic. And this card is exponentially better than Colossal Dreadmaw. And yet we're sitting here and saying I don't think it sees absolutely zero standard play.
Yeah.
Which is wild, right? This is absolutely insane that standard has come this far. Like, this card is just a rare that will be bulk.
Honestly, I don't even think I would pick this in draft unless it's like pack 2.5 or later, and I already have at least 5 deserts. Like, this just doesn't do anything.
This creature is Colossal Dreadmaw, right? Like, Colossal Dreadmaw is a good limited card. It's 6 mana for a 6/6 trampler that occasionally that wins you the game if you have enough of them, right? If you have 2 or 3 in your limited pool or in your draft, like, maybe that can go the distance. This card is good. What I like about it in a limited perspective is that when it dies, it allows you to thin your deck, and the deserts to deal damage, right? So it can go find the deserts that deal you damage. It can also find you mana fixing if you need like some sort of specific color and you have one of those deserts. Like Darren said, this is something that kind of like you need kind of all the glue together in a limited for this thing to be good. But that's just crazy to me. Like that I like this card to me exemplifies like how much Magic has changed over the last few years, that this is a card that like we are easily dismissing, and like with all the reason to dismiss it, right? Like, this card is not constructed playable, and it might not be good limited. It's probably just okay, fine in limited. You wouldn't be upset to have it, but it's not like the rare you're hoping to open. And that's just crazy to me. It's wild.
Yeah, well, I just recently had an argument with a personal friend who isn't like a competitive Magic player. He follows Magic and he likes Magic, but I wouldn't say he's like an RCQ grinder or anything by any means. And the argument was that, Magic has just power creeped to an insane level, and it just keeps going. And his argument was that it's not, that cards today aren't any better than they used to be. And obviously, as someone who is not extremely attuned to the game anymore, he was wrong. But cards like this to me are what exemplify that power creep. It's like a card like this is just going to be completely slept on and not used. Like, and we're even arguing now that maybe not even in a limited format would this be like a high pick at rare. And realistically, this card probably should have been printed at the uncommon slot. And to me, that's proof enough that power creep is 100% what we're dealing with in Magic these days.
I definitely understand that person's viewpoint, though, because like back in the day, sure, the good cards were like good, and arguably a lot of them were better than the cards that we have today. But the bad cards were dog shit. Like,
yeah, okay.
There was a huge disparity between the worst card and the best card. Today, we don't have vanilla creatures anymore. They just don't print them. The worst cards are so much better than they used to be. And that is more or less the problem. It's not that we continue to get good cards. It's that we have stopped receiving bad cards.
Okay, that's interesting. You made better arguments than him.
Yeah, they're like, again, right? Think about, like, again, think about Vintage. Think about these formats that allow you to play Magic across its entirety, right? The best cards are still the older cards, right? The Mox are still the best. Tinker is still like an insanely powerful card. Yeah, like Darren's right. Those cards are busted. But Magic doesn't want that anymore. Darren was alluding to the fact that, like, Oko, they clearly were like, nah, you're not going to be busted this time. We're going to make sure of it. And like they like overcompensated to make sure that was the case. They try very, very hard now not to give us two busted cards. The problem is that there is not bad cards. It is very hard, especially as a new Magic player, to look at a limited pool and figure out what's good and what's bad, right? You have to, like, it's what makes limited a very, very tough format, is that you really need to understand the set and power of Magic cards, and you need to be able to identify that quickly and be able to put something together, where back in the day, it was probably pretty obvious, right? It wasn't like hard to figure out, hey, my 6 mana 6/6 is very good compared to my 4 mana 2/2, right? Those things just don't exist anymore. It's very easy to trick yourself. And I mean, that's why these spoiler episodes exist, right? It's very easy to trick yourself into believing some of these cards are great, right? They are powerful cards. They just aren't as powerful as some of the other cards printed, but they are still very good. If you were to take one of these cards and push them back, they're going to be up at the top of other sets. And that's kind of the problem, right? And it's why we've been seeing recently this kind of shift where the community itself has been wrong, has overlooked cards multiple times recently, because it's just too hard to look at a set right now and identify the strong players sometimes, just because a lot of the cards are very, very powerful, and they all uniquely are powerful on their own, doing their own types of things. And they, like, we were just sitting here and I've said it how many times: is plotted good or is plotted not good? Is committing a crime like really, really great? Are those cards very, very good? Like, that will change our perception of this set. When some of these cards might bounce to the top because some of the mechanics we don't really fully understand are really that powerful. And that's something that I don't think that a lot of older players ever had to deal with. And I think that's what makes Magic more complex than it's ever been, is that you have a plethora of cards to pick from. And a lot of them are powerful, and they all do things that are powerful. It's just identifying what is clearly the most powerful thing to be doing, where I think that was more apparent back in the day. Another card that I want to talk about that I can't believe we've taken this long to talk about, because I think this card's like insanely good, is Slick Shot Show Off. This card's 1 and a red, 2 mana for a 1/2 flying haste. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So I like Kiln Fiend. And it has plot for 2. So for whatever reason, I think that plot actually makes this card better. This card has haste, which is really, really good. And it is better when you're getting to cast spells with it. So if you play this on turn 2, it deals 1 damage. But if you plot it and you can cast 3 spells the turn after, it deals 7 damage. So this card's very, very good. Kiln Fiend has been good in most of the time. It's kind of popped up and down in formats that it's available, just because it can get out of hand very, very quickly with cheap spells. This card's just better than Kiln Fiend, right? There's no argument really there. It has more evasion than Kiln Fiend does, and it has haste. So this card's just a massive upgrade on that card, like just leaps and bounds better.
Yeah, we haven't really seen like a good removal check deck in quite a while. We have Pioneer Heroic, but like in Standard, that just hasn't been a strategy that's been afforded to us, at least since pre-COVID, because everything's just been so commander focused and like these big creatures are the things that matter. So I think that this is a good departure back to an old norm, I guess, where this sort of strategy can really come out of nowhere and just like take over an event. This is definitely the basis for the sort of deck that will be very scary if it has the right tools. I don't know what sort of like damage based removal or like red cantrips there are in Standard, but this is a card that you need to be aware of for as long as it will remain in Standard.
Yeah, like this. So like I think this is just an is it deck, right? This is just obviously an is it deck. That's generally what these types of decks are. Like, let's remember sleight of hand exists. Like right off the basis, that's like a really great place to start with this, right? Being able to kind of like filter through your deck and be able to kind of pump this thing up. We have things that protect it well, right? We've had the Haughty Djinn deck that existed for a little bit of time in Standard. So, you know, we still have, I'm blanking on the name. It's from New Capenna, the card that phases mid out as protection.
Oh, Slip Out the Back.
Slip Out the Back is still a card that exists. And I'm sure that there's others that I can't think of. Like this card, just to me, like Darren said, is kind of this, it has the ability to like put a Standard deck on the map and be able to really, really like warp the format. Where you need to be like cognizant of this card and this deck running around, and it can definitely spike a tournament. Like this is the kind of card that if you were to take to the first day and you get that build right, you're easily going to win. This like easily can win a tournament without very, very little pushback on it, right? Again, the fact that it can be plotted is massive, right? They can't interact with the fact that you plot it, and then the next turn you cast it for free, and you have counterspell backup plus like, you know, card draw or some sort of protection spell on it. And the game just starts to run away at that point, right? Which is generally the problem with these types of cards, right? When you think about cards like Kiln Fiend, when you think about cards like Monastery Mentor, Whirler, no, he's not Whirler Virtuoso, Illuminator Virtuoso. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's it.
The one that one also, right? You always, when you're playing that deck, your biggest problem is, oh, I'm choked on mana and I need to get something on the board. Do I play this without protection? Do I wait and hope that I can maybe protect it, but I'm falling further and further behind? This card beats that problem. On turn 2, you plot it. Next turn, if you can protect it, you cast it and you're good to go, right? Again, we need to remember plotted doesn't mean you need to cast it the next turn. You've invested that mana on turn 2. You can cast it whenever you feel comfortable that you can protect this card and win the game with it, which I think is just so powerful, which I think makes this card so much better than its predecessor.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. We talked about Duelist of the Mind.
I don't know what that is.
That's the new world champion card for...
No, we haven't.
Nathan Stewart. So it's 1 colorless, 1 blue mana for Human Advisor, Flying Vigilance, star 3. Duelist of the Mind's power is equal to the number of cards you've drawn this turn. Whenever you commit a crime, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. I think this has the potential to be very good as well.
This card fits into the deck that I was just
into that deck. Exactly. That's what I mean. Like for all the same reasons. That's why I think it's very relevant here. Very interesting.
It's a good card. The world champion cards continue to be pretty good. It's been
Who'd have thunk it?
It's been a while since they've been like bad, I guess. You know, the last 2 that I can really like put in my mind, we spoke about, Elite Spellbinder. Fairy Mastermind is another one that sees like pretty relevant play. I think this card's good. Again, is commit a crime that great? Probably, seeing as how it just naturally happens in a game. I don't know. Is this better than Ledger Shredder? That's, I guess, really the question.
Yeah,
that's what I was just thinking. has a higher damage output, like faster than Ledger Shredder, but it doesn't have the toughness to back it up. I kind of don't think that it is better than Ledger Shredder.
Dies the lightning bolt bad.
Lightning bolt.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
In modern.
Yeah.
That's what Darren was getting at.
I mean, Shredder also dies to lightning bolt in modern.
No, not always.
No, absolutely not, because you will never cast Shredder on turn 2. And if you do, it's followed by a Mishra's Bauble, so it already has 4 toughness.
Yeah,
easy.
Yeah.
Get good, man.
No.
Come on.
I thought you were the professional here. Come on.
Yeah.
I am not a modern player, and yes, I forgot about Mishra's Bauble. But I just don't know if this card's better than Shredder. That's really, like, I guess the part that matters about this card. This card has literally a card that competes and is already good against it. And I guess that's more of the problem, right? Like, going back to what we were just talking about, like the card I'm talking about competes, I guess against Kiln Fiend, which is a card that doesn't really see that much play anyway. And we know it's better. Like, I just know that this card is already better than that card. So, like, I don't need to worry about that. Where this card, we need, like, the discussion is it better than the card that already exists, like, that plays its role? And I don't know if it's better than that.
My advice to you is don't worry about it. Like, if you're like actively worked up, like you're worrying about cards, come on, man. This is spoilers, man. Don't, you know?
Magic's just a game, bro.
Yeah,
I am not worked up. I am not worked up about it. I own Ledger Shredder, so I'm hoping that that's the case, because I don't know how many Duelists of the Mind I'll own. I mean, it.
Probably the last card we'll talk about, just because we've talked about basically every good card in the set thus far. More or less the answer to this Kiln Fiend deck that we've been talking about, Magebane Lizard. This is a creature for 1 and a red. It is a 1/4 lizard. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, this card deals damage to that player equal to the number of non-creature spells they've cast this turn. So this is a Phoenix Hoser in Pioneer. It is a Lotus Hoser in Pioneer. People have tried playing cards like Eidolon of the Great Revel to keep those cards at bay, but it doesn't really work because it dies to their removal. This has 4 toughness, so it doesn't.
This is so good.
This card kind of rules, honestly. It doesn't have a damage cap either. Like, it only gets better as the opponent casts more spells.
Dang, this is a really good card. Yes, and yeah, you bring up Eidolon of the Great Revel. You know, that is a great comparison, and the fact that this is an uncommon 1/4 is extremely interesting.
This is just going to sit on the battlefield starting on turn 2, and the opponent it's going to win the game on that turn. Not literally, but the opponent's not going to want to play their deck anymore. And they're not going to have the capacity to get rid of it until at least like turn 3 on average.
Wow. So like if you just look at it like a regular turn, right? They're going to like just playing 2 spells, which isn't anything crazy, like 2 non-creature spells in like a Phoenix deck, just setting up. I mean, that's 3 damage, like right off the bat, and only more punishing for every, like, you know, after that it goes to 6 damage. So like 6 damage total, like another 3 on the next one. It's so strong. I really like this card.
Yeah, this has huge implications for like red in every format, because every format wants to be playing a ton of non-creature spells.
Well, I know what I'm pre-ordering.
You're pre-ordering the uncommon.
As many as
25 cents well spent.
As many as I can.
As many as you can. You'll regret that.
Nah, it's got a sick lizard art breathing fire on it. This is going to be worthwhile even if the card is bad.
Yeah, worst case scenario, I can just line them all up in my floor and epoxy over the top and have this sweet Magebane Lizard floor.
You should do that with Jace Cunning Castaway.
Yeah, I could also do that with Jace Cunning Castaway. I have a lot of them.
That was another one that you thought you hit.
I think that one sends a different message to house guests than having a lizard in your floor, but... All right. Well, I think that's all we've got for today's episode of Fireside Magic. I don't know how you guys end this show, so I'll let you guys handle it.
Generally, Anthony asks us a question that takes way longer than our viewers actually think. It looks like it's split second, but it's generally not. But yeah, we're not going to do that because, you know, forget it.
Hold on.
No, Tyler's got a question.
Tyler's got a question. All right, maybe. But I was just going to say, if you think we didn't talk about any of the cards you wanted to talk about, hit us up on one of our various ways to interact with us: website, Twitter, Discord, any of those things, and let us know which ones we missed, which ones we were wrong about. We'd love to hear it. But we think the set is very powerful. We're excited to play and get our hands on it. And the set will have a massive impact for the upcoming RC season, which is pretty much a few weeks after this drops. So really, really excited about it. And I think that the set is going to have a massive impact there.
Definitely.
All right, gentlemen.
Yep.
This brings us into our split-second question powered by ChatGPT.
Oh shit.
As we do every episode. So, Darren.
Yeah.
What is your favorite movie genre? One-word answers only, no explanations.
This is so far detached from what we've been spending the last.
What are you talking about?
3
This is
hours
what we do every
talking
week.
This is what we do every week.
My brain is so not in movie mode right now. I don't remember a single movie I've ever seen. Oh God. I know I like Mad Max Fury Road, so whatever genre that is.
Action.
Is it? I guess.
Is it?
Jesse, what is your favorite movie genre?
Mine's comedy. I love a good comedy. There aren't many anymore, but I like a good comedy.
Mine's horror, and I'm your host, Bird X Core, coming all the way up from Canada. We hope to see all of you next time on Fireside Magic. Until then, my friends down south.
All right, so that brings us to the end of our show. If you enjoy the show and what we do here, you can find us and support us on our Patreon at insert the Patreon URL here. I don't know it, but it'd be very funny if this was Ben's only speaking line.
Patreon.com/thegathering.
You can also join us on our Discord, where you can come yell at us about any spoilers that we may have missed, or just hang out with us and talk about your favorite removal spells. We will have the link to our Discord in the podcast description.
And please, as always, remember to give us a rating. Sorry, give us a review if you so could. It helps other people find our podcast, and we would appreciate it very much.
I don't know how they sign out the show normally, so until next time.
You stay classy.
I was going to do my regular sign off, but maybe we could just do us talking right now as the sign off, and Ben can fade it out, and this will be the last thing that anyone hears.